Hello friends, and welcome back to Diablo Golden Ticket. We're on lucky episode 13 now, and I'm going to drag you straight to hell. You've followed me through 4 cathedral levels, 4 catacombs levels, and 4 cave levels, and now we're entering the last 4-level section of the dungeon, which is simply labeled Hell. Once again, the difficulty level kind of takes a jump here, but it's nothing our protagonists can't handle. And as usual, we're going to try to get inside the heads of our heroes as they venture into territory that's beyond anything they've ever seen.
I must be getting close.
A passage down from the caves leads Aidan here to a place that is decidedly not of this world. Before we dig in though, check this out. He landed right next to the shortcut back to town. Just in case you weren't clear about where we are now. In the world of Sanctuary, where our story is set, there are places where hell sort of bleeds into reality. Aidan has now found himself in one of these places. Something about burying the Lord of Terror here has caused 2 worlds to overlap. Aidan, you are not on Sanctuary anymore. This all seems fine. Something new here. Ah, a lot of something news. So here's the problem. We're still at 17% magic resistance, and these succubi are casting a spell called Bloodstar, which is magic damage. The snow witches here are the second of 4 types of succubi, and this kind has lightning resistance. There are a ton of them, and they're ranged and ganging up on Aidan. To make matters worse, there are these Steel Lords who want to surround him and stun lock him so he can't get any hit. And they have quite a lot of health. The color of the Succubus Bloodstar spell always matches the color of their blood, which is a nice touch, in this case blue. Unlike the player version of Bloodstar though, casting it does not drain their health, otherwise those brats would have been long dead. Okay, I love this part of the music. This drum roll. It's so stressful in the best way. Makes me feel like I'm approaching my own execution. What Aidan quickly learns to do, once he gets a feel for who's populating this hellscape, is to lure these knights away from their magic-flinging succubus friends. Take them out first so he can move freely. As long as he's not stun-locked, he can do pretty good damage on these guys, and they have a nice dramatic death animation. The Steel Lords are a subclass of the Hell Knight. It's usually only present on the lower levels of Hell, so if they appear on level 13, that's a good sign that you have the quest Warlord of Blood, which we'll look more deeply at later. Fighting succubi as a warrior is a matter of luring them away 1 to 4 at a time and trying to corner them. They can't cast while they're running from you, and so if you're clever you can use that to reduce the incoming damage from a group while you get them into position. In the Diablo universe, succubi were created by Andariel, a lesser evil also known as the Maiden of Anguish, or sometimes the Demon Queen, since she's the most powerful female demon. In fact, the only one of the 7 evils who is female. Not to be confused with her brother Duriel, the Lord of Pain. Andariel's specialty is mental and emotional anguish. So she created succubi, and Asmodam, the Lord of Sin, perfected their use. Succubi love to drag mortal souls into hell by seducing them. A creepy thing about succubi canonically is that often at first they disguise themselves as regular, beautiful women, but once a guy starts to move in on them, they let him see a glimpse of fang or bat wing because they know it's the lure of doing something truly forbidden that is the most irresistible of all. Aidan has leveled up, but these demons won't give him enough of a break to open up the character tab. Fighting succubi is a bit like herding sheep, really. You have to figure out how to get on the correct side of them to persuade them to run away from you in the direction you want them to go. Preferably somewhere you've already nicely cleared, and somewhere you can corner them or otherwise obstruct their movement. This is me positioning myself so badly that I can't get in a single shot with the bow. Nice idea, but it utterly fails. A fun fact about the Hell Knights: these were knights sworn to the service of King Leoric, the survivors of the same war in Westmarch that Aidan fought in. When they confronted King Leoric after the war, he turned on them. Lachdanan, the captain of the king's army, rallied the knights to defend themselves. I guess Leoric still had some men on his side because Lachdanan's knights ended up pushed into the cathedral, driven down into the levels beneath it, and that is where Lachdanan eventually cornered and killed Leoric. I'm still just putting everything in strength. I'm sure there's some really fancy math about exactly how many points you're supposed to put into what, but my brain just goes, strength means more damage, damage means things die faster. The only thing that's really hurting Aidan right now is magic damage, and there's nothing I can do about that with stats unless you know something I don't. The king cursed his men with his dying breath, and it's unclear why some of them returned as skeletons and some became these demon knights. My headcanon is that the men who were still fighting on Leoric's side were the skeletons, and that's why they stayed near him. And these guys down here were Lachdanan's rebels, doomed to hell, now basically just demons in armor, with nothing left of their former virtuous selves. I do eventually figure out how to kill the snow witches a bit more efficiently with a bow. Cornering them still gets them dead the fastest, but when they make that impossible, it's just a matter of making sure I have a good line of fire with the bow. You can tell by their pained little sounds if you're hitting them or not, and if you don't get in a hit within a few tries, you know you better move. Here we run into a unique snow witch called Witchmoon. Each unique enemy has their own level of the dungeon, and Witchmoon only appears on level 13. She has lightning resistance like all snow witches, but she does have more health than her sisters do, so killing her is a bit more tedious. Getting in a hit on a succubus is always difficult as a melee character, so the more hits you have to get in, the more annoying it becomes. A thing you start to see in this last 4-level section are cauldrons. These are a little like the shrines from earlier levels in that they do random stuff to your character. This one just bumps up Aidan's mana, which isn't particularly helpful to him, but it doesn't hurt anything either. Another thing you start seeing down here on the hell levels are decapitated corpses. This place is just super fun, a real welcoming feel. here's a question I had to consider. Why isn't Aidan cursed, when every other soldier in the king's service either ended up a skeleton on level 3 or a demon knight down here? Well, the only possible reason is that he didn't go with his comrades in arms when they went to confront his father. Let's think about that. Aidan comes home from this bloody mess of a failed war. What few soldiers returned are ready to march in en masse and make the king answer for sending them to die. But Aidan doesn't go. The whole reason he went to war was to try to please his father, and even Captain Lachdanan can't make the prince go anywhere. He's the prince. So Aidan sits it out, sitting on the fence, because in a normal world, either his father would prevail and there would be some firings, maybe an execution or two to make examples, or the soldiers would force the king to abdicate, and Aidan can throw in with them afterward, like, you know, I'm with you, I bled beside you, I'm sure you understand why I couldn't defy my own father. Instead, it ends in a bloodbath. So, Aidan watched the vast majority of the army get slaughtered in Westmarch, then comes home and sees the survivors get slaughtered by his father. Aidan is now the only Khanduran survivor of the war on Westmarch, and this time it's because he literally abandoned his men. Abandoned them for fear of displeasing the very man who slaughtered and cursed them all. Is it surprising that after this he wanted to kill his undead father and violate his corpse and steal his crown? I'm not even sure that is a sufficient gesture to express the full depth of his rage and sense of betrayal. And now he's in hell facing the men he betrayed, the ones who had the courage he did to fight back against the king. Holy crap is all I can say. Level 22 now, and we're gonna head back to town for a few. Aidan has noticed by now that Adria hangs out at the Rising Sun Tavern a lot, and he has to wonder why someone like her would waste her time on such trivial things.
Earth and walls and thatched canopy do not a home create. The innkeeper Ogden serves more of a purpose in this town than many understand. He provides shelter for Gillian and her matriarch, maintains what life Farnham has left to him, and provides an anchor for all who are left in the town to what Tristram once was. His tavern and the simple pleasures that can still be found there provide a glimpse of a life that the people here remember. It is that memory that continues to feed their hopes for your success.
Okay, time to talk about the Warlord of Blood quest. This quest may appear on level 13 of your game. If not, you'll get a Lachdanan quest on level 14. Those are the only two quests in what they call Quest Group 5. See how there's this little closed area you can't get into? We need to find a tome first to open that up. Warlord of Blood can either be a really easy quest or a fiendishly difficult one, depending on what class you're playing. For Aidan, since he's a warrior, it's really not going to be a problem. Here's the steel tome.
The armories of hell are home to the Warlord of Blood. In his wake lay the mutilated bodies of thousands. Angels and man alike have been cut down to fulfill his endless sacrifices to the Dark Ones, who scream for one thing: blood.
Always you gotta talk about blood. What about flowers and sunshine? And that pretty girl that brings the drinks. Listen here, friend. You're obsessive, you know that?
And now you can see that closed area has opened up. The townspeople, as usual, have all kinds of gossip about this quest. Some of it, of course, is less helpful than others.
I'm afraid that I haven't heard anything about such a vicious warrior, good master. I hope that you do not have to fight him, for he sounds extremely dangerous.
I haven't ever dealt with this warlord you speak of, but he sounds like he's going through a lot of swords. Wouldn't mind supplying his armies.
dark and wicked legend surrounds the one Warlord of Blood. Be well prepared, my friend, for he shows no mercy or quarter.
Cain would be able to tell you much more about something like this than I would ever wish to know.
I know of only one legend that speaks of such a warrior as you describe. His story is found within the ancient chronicles of the Sin War. Stained by 1,000 years of war, blood, and death, the Warlord of Blood stands upon a mountain of his tattered victims. His dark blade screams a black curse to the living, a tortured invitation to any who would stand before this executioner of hell. It is also written that although he was once a mortal who fought beside the Legion of Darkness during the Sin War, he lost his humanity to his insatiable hunger for blood.
If you are to battle such a fierce opponent, may light be your guide and your defender. I will keep you in my thoughts.
His prowess with the blade is awesome, and he has lived for thousands of years knowing only warfare. I am sorry. I cannot see if you will defeat him.
Okay, you can see if you look at the map that we've discovered everything else on this level and found no stairway down. That means the only way to level 14 is past the Warlord of Blood himself. So the best strategy here, whatever your class, is to make sure you approach this area slowly. They can sense you before you can see them, so you want to make sure you attract the attention of as few as possible. They're melee guys, so they have to come to you. You can use that to control the number you have to fight at a time, at least a little bit. Just creep up there.
My blade sings for your blood, mortal, and by my dark masters it shall not be denied.
Pretty sure that's Chris Metzen again. There he is. And we only brought 2 bodyguards. This is doable. The difficulty sometimes is just not being able to get a hit in because you keep blocking or getting stunned from all the hits landing on you. So the goal is always reduce the number you're engaging at once. Target the little guys first because they die quicker and that's less people to hit you. Easy peasy.
Your reign of pain has ended.
Your reign of pain stays mainly in... Yeah, I got nothing. Clear out the last of his bodyguards. We did a nice job splitting them up. You really do not want to charge in and take on the whole pack at once. That would not end well. Aidan can see now that there's another staircase leading down, so he's not as close as he had hoped to be to facing Diablo himself, but he's getting closer.
Too much baggage.
The nice thing about the Warlord of Blood quest is that it really gives you a lot of loot. This whole room is just full of it.
I gotta pawn some of this stuff. Too much baggage.
In fact, Aidan ends up with an interesting problem by the time this is all over. He's gonna have just piles of money sitting around and nothing to spend it on.
Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
Griswold's inventory of stuff for sale just doesn't really offer up anything all that much better than what Aidan already has. Let's take a look at what he's wearing right now. It's honestly pretty good, I think, except for magic resistance. When you lift things up, their stats temporarily disappear off your character sheet, so it's a nice way to remind yourself of exactly what a certain piece is doing for you. The only room he has for improvement is that he is missing an amulet. And Griswold does happen to be selling one that's decent. We can certainly afford it.
Well, what can I do for you? Well, what can I do for you?
So this Amulet of the Moon, +4 to all attributes, isn't super exciting at this stage of the game, but it's not bad.
Well, what can I do for you?
I mean, it's definitely better than what he currently has in that slot, at any rate. Am I right? Now, check out this ridiculous money situation. I am literally starting to run out of room on the ground to put Aidan's piles of gold. I mean, we've all been there, right? So a really sad thing is that somehow I managed to lose the footage of Jazreth killing the Warlord of Blood. Let me tell you how hilarious it was, though, while Jazreth walks around, looting the Warlord of Blood's room as proof of victory. See, the thing about the Warlord of Blood is that he is immune to fire, lightning, and magic damage. Yeah, all of that. So, to get this quest on a sorcerer is hilarious. What Jazreth ended up doing, and with surprising efficiency to be honest, was turning him into stone with Stone Curse, and just whacking him with his staff again and again. When he comes uncursed, you recast Stone Curse and whack some more. Heavy application of Chain Lightning took care of his bodyguards, since while Steel Lords resist lightning, they aren't immune to it like they are to fire. So enough mana potions and it's doable. But because of the quest, Jazreth, like Aidan, is now filthy rich with nothing to spend his money on. I just haven't really lucked out with the various store inventories in any of my games. Whee! But yeah, thanks for coming along with me for another episode. And next time we're going to spend a little more time with Morena, who gets to have a close encounter with the doomed Captain Lachdanan himself. See you next time.